Estimating 101. So a person has a vision, and they want to build a school or a church or just some type of building, doesn't matter, but they have some kind of vision. So what they do is they go to the general contractor and they say, this is what we're really wanting to do. This is what we're thinking about doing. And so we'd like to kind of get you involved in seeing what are the steps that you need to take to get your building, up and running, what have you. So anyway, so that's when the expertise of the contractor comes in. So if a person comes to me and they say, okay, so we're wanting to build a school. I say, okay, what kind of vision are you looking for? Do you have a college? Are you looking at an elementary school or high school? Because there's different criteria which you would have in certain schools. So, like in a high school, you would have a shop class where you wouldn't have that in an elementary school. At an elementary school, you might have playgrounds that you wouldn't necessarily have in a college, although some college students went out and played and shouldn't have. But anyway, let's get back to the story. So, with that being said, so then we would talk about, what needs do they have, and really what are they looking for, and really we need a budgetary number. So a lot of people, you wouldn't come to a general contractor and bring a set of drawings or something sketched up and say, well, we have, about $1 million, and this is what we're thinking about doing. Because we know that if you're going to make a large college building or any kind of building really, then it's going to take, generally speaking, more than $1 million. So we know that that's not really feasible for what they're looking at. So that's the first thing we do is look at their vision, see what they want to do, and then kind of talk to them about, well, this is generally what we see cost per square foot, for this type of building, this type of building. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on if it's warehouses or schools or churches or grocery stores. Everything has a different square footage amount that goes into it. Like, let's say a hospital, for example. Hospitals would have a lot more electric, has a lot more HVAC, has a lot more, matter of fact, they have medical gas systems there, where, as say, church would not. So there's a lot of factors that go into estimating projects. So anyway, so once you talk to the customer and they explain to them exactly what they want to do, and then you can get to work on, estimating the project. So what you do is, first you've kind of caught their vision, and then once you've got their vision, and then you tell them, well, now we have to go to the architect, because we have to have an architect kind of draw this up, which there's going to be a small preliminary cost as opposed to actually building the project. So we'll actually take this to the architect and have him look at it and kind of have him sketch out some drawings or what have you, and then once he does that, then we can take it to the engineering firm, which would be the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and then the structural steel, and them engineering firms. They could actually say, okay, this is what we're looking at. This is what you have to do in order to build this building here. This is what it's going to take for everything to function properly, everybody to be comfortable, have enough restrooms, for a certain amount of people that are in there. But anyway, so that being said, but then you take it back to the owner and they say, okay, well, this looks pretty good. And generally the architect will tell you, okay, so we're looking at this school, I'll throw a college out there, and we're looking at probably about a $22 million project. And so the customer's like, well, I know we got about 20 million, so we need to shave off 2. So what cost can we where can we cut costs in order to get into our budget? Now, one thing I do want to mention to you is always, if you have a $20 million budget, then you're not wanting to spend $20 million, because generally speaking, it's going to take 10 to 15% more than what you think the building is going to cost. There are always costs associated that are overseen or overlooked. They're just not seen. So, and for instance, let's just say that the architect has missed something and the engineering department has missed something, and there's a problem that arises here, and it's because the owner wanted something done but it just didn't work out on the drawings or what have you. So now there's got to be a change, and it's called a change order. So with them change orders, there's also associated costs with that. You know, it might be for the time, material, or you know, for the labor that's going to take to change it, or it could be just for the drawings, which also takes, you know, time. So you have to always take in consideration that your schedule may be bumped out a little bit. So if you're looking at a 6-month project, you might want to figure that it's probably a 7th-month project. Allow yourself another 30 days, because there are going to have some things that come up, like weather and what have you, that you don't know that it's going to happen. So, but that is going to happen no matter what. So anyway, so from that, so you kind of shave off costs and everything. You get down to, let's just say, 18 million, knowing that they want to spend 20, so they have like a $2 million buffer. So what you do is then the general contractor would then send out invitations to bid on this project, which a lot of people don't really understand how many things go into a construction project. But just to give you a little example is, so if you start from the roof, we'll start from the roof. Generally people start from the ground and go up, but I like to be a little different. Let's start from the top and go down. I always say, if you have a roofer's card, like people, what do you do for a living? I generally say, well, I've got a roofer's card that covers it all. So if I have a roofer's card, you know, I can do anything. Ha ha ha. So anyway, but you have to figure, so you got your roofing involved, okay? Underneath that, you have framing, you have insulation, you have your electrical, you have your plumbing, you have your HVAC, you have your windows and doors, you have your concrete, you have your the drywall and the painting, the inspections, the landscaping, the parking lot, the site utility work, the excavations, the masonry. There's so many things that go into a bid. The general contractor might end up getting 50 different prices, okay? Now, I'm not saying 50 different prices from other contractors, just 50 prices that they're going to plug in that's going to cover all the costs for this. So when you are actually estimating a project, it's very fast paced, very fast paced. So one thing that is kind of a little bit frustrating when you are a general contractor is, so you're starting to get these bids in from these other contractors, what have you, the subcontractors, from the electricians and the HVAC and people like that. And so generally speaking, your bid time is going to be at 2 o'clock on, let's say, Tuesday. So at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, you know that you have to have this bid turned in to the owner, and they're going to open this bid and they're going to look at it. So if there's actually 4 different general contractors, then all 4 gets opened up at the same time. So you have to allow yourself time to be prepared, have time to drive to the facility, have time to, you got to also always think of traffic. You got to make sure you leave in plenty of time, because it actually takes a whole lot of money, a whole lot of time. It might take up, on a $20 million job, I would guess it would probably take about 30 days to price that. So if you have 30 days for just a few people's labor, that takes a lot of money just to try to get this bid awarded to you. So you really want to be on top of your game and really make sure that you don't leave anything out or miss anything. So anyway, so what was frustrating that I was going to get back to is, so these contractors are waiting for the material suppliers or their subcontractors, because every subcontractor has subcontractors. So it's kind of like a tier where you're on top, and then it goes down to your subcontractors, and then they have 4 different subcontractors, and then they have 2 or 3 different subcontractors. So there's a whole lot of people, a whole lot of companies that can get involved in one project. So with that being said, so it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and so now we're waiting for all these prices to come in, and the suppliers like to hold that price until the very last hour, because they don't want you going out shopping their bid. So that means that if I'm getting prices, let's say from a plumbing company, and you're getting another price from this plumbing company, they want to make sure that being fair and being honest in your business. So they wait till the last minute so you can't, fluctuate the prices and everything and do something underhanded, because that's just not how this business is done. So anyway, so you wait till last minute, so that gives us just the very last minute to hurry up and plug our numbers and make sure that we didn't miss anything. So once our numbers are plugged in and we're on our way to the bid opening, then we also have people back here in the office that are waiting for other proposals to come in so we can adjust the prices, because once the prices have been adjusted, if it drops our price, I don't know, let's just say by $50,000, then we have the opportunity to scratch out the number that we had on that bid and drop it down $50,000, put it in the envelope, and as soon as, I'm gonna say it's 5 minutes till the bid is actually gonna be open, you seal that bid, you hand it to that person, and it's out of your hands. And then you just have to wait. So then with that being said, so now it's bid time. And now they open up the envelope. And they're going through all the bids, and they're, just looking, and hey, what do you know? We come in as the lowest bidder. But you might come in as the lowest bidder, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you won the job. Because then it has to go before their board and before their project managers and everything, and they have to determine, did you have everything figured in? Because if you didn't, and they see that you may have left off the insulation out of your bid, then they might pull your bid and say, no, you can't do the job. Because what happens is, if you miss something, then the owner is going to be like, you know what, he's going to try to cut corners, so we're not going to use him. So they just throw that bid away. They set it aside. That's a good thing about having an owner coming to you and asking for you to give the bids on a project or what have you, because it's a one-on-one relationship, and it really affects. So if you look, you see it's raining behind me. So that's exactly what I'm talking about when you're estimating a job, because you have to figure in, this is going to happen. It doesn't matter what job it is or where it's at, it's going to happen. So we just thank God for the rain. That's going to bring all the trees and the grass up and make the landscaping beautiful while we start getting to work on this project, because we have been awarded this job. We did come in under budget, and honestly, the owners are really happy with us, and we're about to start. So I appreciate the time that y'all let me give you estimating 101, and I look forward to the next time I get to talk to you. Thank you, and God bless. My name's Robert Hale.